The grand lobby of the luxurious Sapphire Hotel shimmered under the golden chandeliers as guests in elegant attire moved about. A frail homeless woman hesitantly stepped inside, clutching a small bag of her belongings. Her eyes darted around nervously as she approached the front desk, where the manager, a tall man in an expensive suit, glanced at her with a look of sheer disdain. "Excuse me, sir. I just need a room for the night." "I can pay," she said in a quiet, trembling voice, offering a few crumpled bills. The manager scoffed loudly, drawing the attention of nearby guests. "This is not a shelter. We have a reputation to uphold. Kindly leave before I call security." A few guests chuckled, and the woman's face burned with embarrassment. Just then, Keanu Reeves, dressed casually in a black coat and jeans, entered the hotel. He had witnessed everything from the entrance and narrowed his eyes. Keanu Reeves calmly walked up to the counter, his presence commanding immediate attention. "Is this how you treat people who need help?" he asked, his voice low but firm. The manager turned, ready to dismiss him, but his smirk faded as he realized who he was talking to. Guests whispered in recognition, their eyes widening. "Mr. Reeves, I didn't know you were here," the manager stammered. Keanu ignored the flustered man and turned to the homeless woman. "Ma'am, how much do you need for your stay?" She hesitated, tears forming in her eyes. I only needed a night to rest." Keanu pulled out his wallet and placed a platinum card on the counter. "She stays as long as she needs," he said firmly. The guests gasped, and the manager gulped, realizing his grave mistake. But Keanu wasn't finished yet. The manager tried to regain control of the situation, forcing a smile. "Of course, sir. We will accommodate her immediately." But Keanu crossed his arms. "No. You humiliated her in front of everyone. Apologize." The manager's face turned red, and he hesitated. Keanu leaned in slightly, his piercing gaze unyielding. "Or should I take my business elsewhere?" The tension in the room was thick, and guests watched in silence. Reluctantly, the manager swallowed his pride and turned to the woman. "I apologize for my behavior, ma'am," he muttered. The woman, overwhelmed, nodded softly. Keanu smiled gently at her. "Let's get you settled." He personally escorted her to the best suite in the hotel, ensuring she had everything she needed. But there was still more to be done. Later that evening, Keanu called a press conference in the hotel lobby. Reporters and photographers gathered, buzzing with excitement. The homeless woman, now dressed in clean clothes provided by Keanu, stood beside him, still in shock at the turn of events. "No one deserves to be treated as less just because of their circumstances," Keanu said into the microphone. "We all have the power to change someone's life with kindness." The audience erupted in applause. The manager stood awkwardly in the crowd, shame evident on his face. Keanu turned to the hotel owner, who had arrived after hearing about the incident. "I think it's time you review how your staff treats people," he said pointedly. The owner nodded quickly. "This will never happen again, Mr. Reeves." The manager paled, realizing his position was now at risk. The next morning, the woman sat on a plush sofa in the hotel lounge, sipping a warm cup of tea. She looked out the window, her eyes filled with hope. Keanu sat beside her, smiling. "Do you have a place to go after this?" he asked. She shook her head, and Keanu nodded, already having made arrangements. "I found a shelter that will help you get back on your feet. They're expecting you." Tears welled in her eyes as she whispered, "Thank you." Keanu gave her a reassuring pat on the shoulder. "You're not alone." Across the room, the manager, now demoted to a regular staff member, nervously refilled coffee cups. His arrogance was gone. The guests who had laughed at the woman the day before now looked at her with admiration. As Keanu exited the hotel, a crowd had gathered outside, cheering for him. A reporter shouted, "Mr. Reeves, why did you do this?" Keanu simply smiled. Because kindness matters. The world watched in awe as one simple act of compassion changed everything. Subscribe for more inspiring stories and never forget, the smallest act of kindness can change a life.